Hi, and welcome to the Health Data Ethics Podcast. I'm here for this episode with another special guest. Do you want to introduce yourself? Usually I give people's names, then ask them to introduce themselves. It makes it a little bit awkward. I'll let you go.
Sure. It's great to be here with you today, Jenny. Jasbir Kooner, joining from Montreal, Canada. We still have a bit of snow outside, so it's nice to be here.
I think your snow may beat our tornadoes that we have a slight chance of this afternoon. Um,
You know
I'll,
what? I'll let you win this one. Our snow's not that much snow. It's flurries for Canadians. So yeah, your tornado definitely beats us here.
not sure I want to know what a Canadian flurry is. Jasbir, you and I have had the privilege of serving on a couple of panels together. We were first introduced through the BRM Institute, and I really wanted to seek you out to come on the podcast because we've had some really terrific conversations, both on and off the record. And I wondered first, when we first talked about doing this interview, we had talked about during the month of March, during International Women's Month. And now, life has gotten in the way for these two women. And I still kind of wanted to use this to frame our discussion, if you don't mind. Do you have thoughts or experiences about being a woman in tech inside, like in this space?
Definitely. So I remember when we first spoke about this and we were like, kind of saying, what topic should we talk about and stuff. And I remember telling you that although I graduated in tech, after my first experience in working at a company in tech, I kind of shifted away and spent a good majority, 15 years on the business side. And I only recently came back to tech it's been three and a half years ago. Um, Funny enough, it was after I got an MBA. So you would think an MBA would solidify the business side, but instead it brought me to the tech side. And I'm very grateful to be back in, especially with this whole Gen AI craze that we're living through. So when I got my bachelor's, went in, found a job in tech. And I remember I was like about 8 months into this position. And a male got hired and he left his pay stub on the table. So one day coming back from lunch, it's hard. We're humans, kind of, what's this? Looked at it and he was getting paid more than me. And I was like, this makes no sense. So he didn't have more experience than me. He didn't have any greater education. And, I just couldn't wrap my brain around it. And I was like, how did this happen? Right. And I actually went and I spoke to my boss because I'm like I can't figure it out, and I've always been like an analyst where it's like the black and white, need to know the answer, because if it's my fault and I didn't ask for enough money when I started this job, then that's a learning experience for me, right, to grow from in the future. So when I actually did speak to my boss, he couldn't answer the question. And so that's where I was like young, and I'm like, you know what? This glass ceiling, I didn't feel I was there. I would be able to break it. So instead, I kind of shifted into another role, and it's always been something that I felt like I should have stayed and I should have fought and I should have, because now, 20 years later, it seems like we're still having the same conversation and it's kind of going around in circles, right? It's better, but we're not where we should be. So now being back in tech, kind of feel like in certain ways I have an opportunity now to use my voice and really try to make that impact. So for future women that are coming into tech, right? The conversation is there to be had, as opposed to when I was in this role prior. I don't think the conversation was as open as it is today.
So, one of the factors that I think has led to some of those conversations being as open as they are today is the wider spread data about gender bias in employment and gender bias not only in employment but also in the subjects of our fields. And I came prepared because your book recommendations are always so excellent. So I came prepared with two. So there's Invisible Women, which is an absolutely stellar book if you're interested in the ways that in which analysis does not account for the different ways men and women move through the world and occupy their space. And then also The End of Bias. But I